Two Java classes are defined as follows. So we have class 1 and we have class 2. But notice class 2 extends class 1. So this means that class 2 is the child and it is extending from class 1, the parent. Or in other words, class 2 is the subclass and class 1 is the superclass. Okay, so we have some code here. We see some methods, M1, M2, and class 2 also has M1, M2. So the M1 and M2 method are overridden. Both of these methods are actually overridden methods by the subclass, which means that if I create an object of type class 2, it will use the methods that are in the class 2 rather than going to the superclass and using the superclass methods. So we also have this other code that is in a class other than the class that was created there. So we see that we are creating a class 2 object, number, and then we're calling M1 using number. The question is what's going to be printed. So if we're calling M2 using number, and number is a class 2, then Java is going to go into that class, class 2, to find the M1 method. It finds it here, so that's the code that it's going to run. The first print, notice, in that method is the first code. It says to print 3. So the output will start by printing 3. And notice that it is a print, not a println. So after it prints 3, the cursor will stay right behind the 3. It would not go to the next line. Then we call super.m2. Now, using this super keyword will force the computer, rather than using the M2 from its own class, to go to the superclass, which is class 1. So it's going to jump to the M2 from the superclass, which is the code right here. The first line of code there says to print 2. So it's going to print 2 next. After that, it says to call this .m2. So this is referencing the object that is actually started calling any of these methods. The object that we're using is a class 2 object. So this means that it's going to go back to the M2 method that is from the class that this object is calling it from. And so it's going to jump to the M2 method here and then print 4. Once that is done, which it is because it was only one line of code, that means that now M2, super M2 is done, which means that this line of code is done, which means the entire M1 method is done running as well. So we are completely done here. The print will be 3, 2,